Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is game 2 between Gooseheaded and Tenderization, 12 o'clock location. We got Gooseheaded starting as the red Zerg, Ever Manor. Bottom right hand corner, we got Tenderization, also Manor, starting as the white Terran. This is going to be on Apocalypse. Stated 3-player map. A little bit stronger for 9 pools, I think, on this map. And 8 racks has been very, very popular recently, and I think this is one of those maps that's a little bit harder to pull out because you do not have... Well, I guess in other maps you're not usually doing it from a ramp position, but I feel like it's a wide enough natural expansion that when you go the 8 racks, it's a little bit harder to execute. So we'll see if Gooseheaded opens up with a 9 pool or not. It's just something I want to keep in mind. Side note, I appreciate all the viewership. I'm getting a little bit higher viewership for the Starcon series, which I really appreciate. Randomly, like I don't usually keep an eye on viewer count in the background. I kind of end up seeing it just kind of latently, and usually it's around 100-ish, sometimes down to like 67, sometimes like 125, depending on where it's at. For some reason, Pandora versus Balance had like 600 viewers out of nowhere. I have no idea why. If anybody knows what happened there, let me know. Sometime I wonder if YouTube just had a break in their algorithm all of a sudden. They're like, we actually got to recommend this guy's videos once here, I guess. But it was weird that it went up to like 700 and dropped back down, and I have no idea why. I have never been very good at the SEO optimization game, but anyway. And actually, I think this channel's specifically abused because I had like a lot of dead subscribers from StarCraft 2, so it's like, oh, you're not, whatever. Anyway, ignoring all that, let's get to the game itself. I am just curious, is what it comes down to. Maybe I can look and see if there's like an external link someplace or something like that. Anyway, Barracks built after Supply Depot here from Tenderization. He also didn't build a front door blockade, so I'm wondering if he's actually going to open up... We'll see if he opens up 2 racks before expansion even, or if he opts to transition into mech, potentially. He's going to get first scout. Overlord is already parked over the natural expansion, but usually without blockading your natural here, first of all, this is a very exposed position. And it looks like he is going to go 1 racks into expand. Wow. So he's going 1 rack and fighting the probe all the way as it goes. And he's not queued up a Marine, and he's taken significant damage. So Gooseheaded getting a lot better, able to damage and push that SCV back. Another SCV going out. Gooseheaded sees the lack of Marine. He got a lot of latent delay, honestly, on that command center in general, and might even, is he going to stick around and work? I think he's just going to pull out now. But Tenderization honestly needs to be a little bit careful here, because this is a rampless map. Okay, now we're seeing some additional attack on it. This is a rampless map and a very wide natural expansion. And so even a handful of Zerglings honestly following this, like 4 Zerglings right now potentially could end the game. We do have 4 Zerglings queued up because there's no, like, we don't have a bunker, we don't have anything right here. And honestly, Tenderization is going to need a bunker sooner rather than later. So we'll see how this goes, though. We're going to see an in-base. We do have the 4 Zerglings going after the SCV, and we do have a tech to layer. I missed the gas timing overall, but looking at the timing of that layer, it looks like this is movement more towards 2-hatch Mutalisk. Although we have seen Gooseheaded make adjustments into Spire. It looks like Gooseheaded opting, going for more of the standard defensive play rather than kind of exploiting. Still no gas, by the way, from Tenderization. Shout out to him, by the way. Okay, now grabbing gas. I want to give him a shout out, a mega shout out. He helps with a lot of stuff around the community. And if you're talking about big-brained individuals, he's the guy out there doing a lot of the cool AI stuff out in the field. And as soon as he's out of college and started his own company, I'm sure he's going to do something in the community and just be... There's certain guys that are amongst it, like Gunrun is an example of those guys. Gunrun started his own VTubing studio. That's where Iron Mouse came from. He's out of the StarCraft 2, Brood War, Warcraft 3 community. And I'm expecting Tenderization to be one of those guys, by the way, so just keep an eye out is all I'm saying. Anyway, Zerglings now testing the front, the bunker holding that edge. One of them loses their life, so going to back out from there. 3rd barracks getting dropped, and it is going to be Academy first. A little bit of a kind of a build order sequence. I'm going to say Tenderization maybe a little bit off his game, is I guess what I'm going to say as far as the build order sequencing here. No engineering bay up as of yet, and we are going to see Mutalisks in not too long. You might want to get that engineering bay sooner rather than later. It's also possible he's going to potentially try to pressure the front here. He's got 8 Marines. He's got that Academy. He's queued up the 2 medics. He has built a third barracks and no engineering bay behind this. And is going to wait a little bit on stim. So let's see if he unloads and goes for it. Right now sitting at 26 SCVs. We already have a third hatchery going up at the 9 o'clock location. Spire just about finished. And I think we are going to have the proper larva saturation to go ahead and get those 5 Mutalisks in the air pretty rapidly. And plenty of gas to do so. So we're, seeing 4, and we should see, theoretically, the 5th shortly behind it. A Zergling, I missed this. A Zergling somehow able to creep, although I missed some action on the front there. The Zergling somehow able to sneak all the way into the main. I'm not sure if they just lost their life to do so, but we got 4 barracks and no engineering bay. So Goose, actually, depending on this, if he micro, and the medic's a little bit separated from the Marines as well, depending on Goose's Mutalisk micro here, he could really end the game. Because we got 0 turrets here, and it's just the Marines that are going to have to try to chase around things, and these Mutalisk, excuse me, once they're 5 in number, can approach the Marine ball and potentially abuse it. They're up on the high ground. Unfortunately, it's just 4. Now the 5 are there. That's the magic number you're looking for. Gooseheaded, though, might end up losing. So, yeah, getting a little bit distracted there. He's got 6. He's also going for the +1 weapons, but right there, yeah, able to wipe out several of the Marines. Here's the thing, Tenderization engaging these mules wholesale. Another mule's making, going through a lot of fire, though, so it takes a lot of unnecessary damage. It looks like it was on an off-rally point. A drone also off-rallied for Goose. That's kind of the tournament nerves. Also a little bit of a supply block there. Oh, several drones out in open field. But a lot of Marines have been taken out. Another mule's getting picked out. Now they're down to 4. And that was a nice stim and push into the Mutalisk lines. So Goose now taking some severe damage. This was a complete turret skip. Now we have an engineering bay. Now the turrets are being built. But honestly, Tenderization doesn't need them at this stage. He's bullied his way very far forward. He's really cut into the Mutalisk count. And +1 range about to finish. And he did this all without +1 weapons and just stim. Creep kill into getting dropped from Goose out of necessity. Tender might go for the bust. Yeah, moving up for the bust without range. And Goose having trouble with the Mutalisk micro, able to, and so yeah, that's Sunken Colony to get dropped, and Tenderization off just a unit flood. This was kind of a clever build here. 4 barracks, and pushing forward much more rapidly, really testing Gooseheaded's Mutalisk play here. And Gooseheaded having some trouble with it, so I think Tender's going to take this game. And more units stacking their way in. So saying, you know what, it doesn't matter if I don't have range or +1 here. I have so many Marines that I'm just going to smother you Mutalisks. That's exactly what's happening here. And that gas getting pile drived and more Mutalisks getting taken out. Tender, he's got that third base. He doesn't have that third gas. He's actually having to mine minerals there. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or if that's out of it, but the natural expansion's been completely pummeled. +1 weapons now up. Tenderization needs to be a little bit concerned here, but he's wiped out the Mutalisks, and really what he's done is he's just kind of inverted the equation here. We usually Terran worries about Zerg overpopulating them, but in this instance, he's just pumping out the units in mass and forwarding them to the front, battering Gooseheaded's economy, and just keeping that pressure up. These 4 racks just on constant production, finally dropping a factory. This is very, very late as far as the science vessel count. I don't think it's going to hurt. He's still in a great position overall, though, because we see no movement. So we see a gas just being grabbed. That natural expansion gas is gone. This is forcing Gooseheaded into a Zergling all-in as far as a turnaround. He's only at 17 drones. Tender does need to be careful here because he's getting stranded away from the medic Marines. Yeah, this is kind of the turnaround pressure, but doing a good job of microing and keeping his Marines spread out a bit here. Just needs to get a few more. If he has 1 or 2 medics in part of this grouping, Goose is once again in a lot of trouble. He has managed to get that natural expansion gas up. He's dropping a 4th hatchery in base to try to get some larvae back in place. He needs that Queen's Nest sooner rather than later. So even though this factory is coming out a lot later than it usually would, it's not having as much of an impact as it would otherwise. Single Marine, I think that was just a miscued Marine kind of out in the front. So right now, Tender at twice the economy. +1 weapon, starport dropping. Just about to finish. We got a handful of Zerglings out here for Tenderization. His entire build's been thrown off. Instead, he's switching to 5-hatch, interestingly enough. So moving to 5-hatch, skipping layer, maybe presuming that his opponent would just have gas up a little, or would have irradiate up very, very rapidly. And that he was going to need to do something desperate like a 5-hatch Ling Flood. Let's see if he transitions into Lurker in the midst of this. Some creep colonies being dropped just to stay alive. But definitely emergency mode. Some Zerglings getting a run by, trying to able to get a turret, but not able to get a lot of SCVs. Nice defense by Tender. Right there. Currently, excuse me, double the supply. And usually this isn't as much of a deal for Zerg. A little bit of a supply block there. Usually this isn't as much of a deal for Zerg when you have like Lurkers, when you have Defilers, when you have things along those lines. But with all of that being stymied, and all of that being very, very late, Tenderization can basically lock Goose into 2 bases. Hydro Sten dropping right there. So maybe a Lurker follow-up. And we do have, it looks like Siege Tech being upgraded, probably a Siege Tank shortly after. That Science Facility being constructed. We're going up to 6 barracks. Tender has the map. If he wants to go ahead and grab, well, first of all, you should find this base. That's completely exposed and you can kill it basically at will with a control group of Medic Marines. He can just stake out here and it's going to be, oh no, he's going into this. That's just a little bit of inexperience. He can just sit back, wait for that Siege Tank. Doesn't need to worry about a potential Mutalisk counterattack in the space of this. No, he's continuing with that pressure. And this is actually going to pay off because Gooseheaded not expecting it either, so he wasn't right there, Johnny on the spot with the Mutalisks. And that might be game, actually. So Tender able to break. There's GG. Yeah, Gooseheaded with a very emphatic GG because that was good play from Tender, really catching Goose off guard. We're going to go to a game 3. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.